Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 55. Today we will be playing in the Last Chance Gauntlet, and so we don't really need to do it. Our Master's rank is high enough to just go ahead and get us into Seasonals, but it's good practice. We don't get a ton of best of three practice. It's essentially tough for me to ever go and play tournaments. Like there is a big Mastering Runeterra tournament today, but I just couldn't devote like the 6 or 7 hours it would take to play through that. I just don't have the time to be like, okay, well, I'm going to play 5 rounds of Swiss with a cut to top 8. Like I just can't put together the 6 and the 7 and the 8 hours of contiguous time that kind of thing requires. And so it is one of my weaker points, but it is nice to be able to jump into the gauntlets, jump into the best of threes, and then get some practice before seasonal starts up. And so we're definitely going to go in and play it today. And so, as I always say with these Gauntlet videos, I'll cover off on the changes that we make to these decks as opposed to them being in kind of ladder mode. And we'll get a little bit more in depth into the reason why we chose these decks. We're going to be playing Pirates without Gangplank. We're going to play Taliyah Ziggs, and we're going to play Draven Discard. But if you are interested in gameplay guides for those videos, I've done them within the past few weeks on our channel here. So you can scroll back through the channel a little bit and come across these guides. And so, with how we came up with these decks, I've got the spreadsheets pulled up here with all of the stats for these 3 decks. I pulled this directly off of Balco's site. This is lor-meta.com. I think it's just a super easy site to use. The tier list and everything is pretty useful, and I just go in and grab the stats. I use this one quite frequently, but props to him for that sweet stuff. But this is the matchup chart for our 3 decks here, and kind of the idea with this and the reason that I put this together is kind of twofold. The deck that we're looking to come out and punish and really beat up on that can kind of land in any lineup is the Sundisk. If you're playing a control lineup, you can bring Sundisk. If you're playing a good Dex lineup, you can bring Sundisk. Whatever. It's still the most popular deck in the format. Even after the nerfs, people are still trying to make it work. And so the idea and perk with this lineup is if the Sundisk turns up, all of our decks are very good against it. And so we can just ban out one of the bad matchups. Feel pretty confident that the remainder of our lineup can do well there. Now, the second one that kind of fits in this theme is Yuumi Pantheon. It doesn't work out quite as well. If you go through the matchup chart, the only other deck that we aren't playing that has a good matchup against both the Sundisk and Yuumi Pantheon is Tokens. I'm not a huge fan of Tokens. It's just the kind of deck that my brain doesn't work with Tokens. I don't understand it well enough. It's not something I'm good with. I'm not going to invest the time in getting good with Tokens because number one, I don't like playing it, and number two, it's just when you're an old fuck like me, you kind of just learn what works and what doesn't for you, and it just doesn't work for me. And so we have to kind of leave that one off the table, and that does circle us back into playing Taliyah Ziggs. Taliyah Ziggs is the one in red on our Yuumi Pantheon line here to the right. It's not a particularly strong matchup, but it's not one where they're completely annihilating us. And so that is kind of the idea. We're keeping both of those decks in mind, hoping to kind of get paired up against them, and then banning out things that are much worse. And so you can run into lineups featuring Yuumi Pantheon that are going to be pretty bad, and then they're going to force us to play Taliyah Ziggs. But that is what it is, and we'll deal with it when it comes. This is the kind of overarching strategy of what we're looking to come up against. Now, the other 2 decks that I really wanted to call out that I think we're going to see a lot are Aphelios Fizz and the Vigio Mono Vigio deck, the various flavors of Vigio. And so Aphelios Fizz, I don't think its win rates are super accurate. This is a deck that really came into the forefront and came into popularity less than a week ago. Mage and Bay put together some work on this and got it popularized quickly. But it's like with the way that the trickle-down stuff kind of works in these metas, it hasn't really had time to catch on. And I think it's just kind of overinflated with the top tier players running it, and the matchups aren't as bad as they look. But nonetheless, this is a terrible matchup. This is one of the decks that we're going to have to look to ban out across the board. And so I'm expecting to see a lot of it. And the thing I wanted kind of with our lineup is if we do run into something playing Fizz Aphelios, are we just going to get annihilated by the rest of the format? And it's not quite the case. Pirates, of course, runs bad into the control decks matchups. Taliyah Ziggs is strong there. Draven Sion is pretty strong there as well. And then in the pure aggro lineups, I don't expect this kind of deck to show up. And so I think we're okay in that sense, just to say our pretty much number one ban in the format is going to be looking to drop down Aphelios Fizz. And then, of course, with the Vigio deck, the matchup's fine. I don't worry about this whatsoever. Tuning our decks towards the kind of Ghost Tall strategy is easy. It's something we're doing a little bit across all of our decks, and I don't worry about him too much. So those are just the kind of like deck core-based strategies I'm looking towards. Then the other thing you have to kind of keep in mind is if someone wants to bring a full control lineup or a full aggro lineup, how bad is it? And here, it's not great. Right, if we run into people that are playing like the full Shadow Isles lineup to where you're going to be playing Trundle Tryndamere, you're going to be playing some version of Jace, probably the Sentinels deck, and if you're playing some version of Darkness, it's not great, right? They can ban out Taliyah Ziggs, but the Draven deck can hold up its own, and the Pirates deck can just beat anything. And so I don't worry about it completely. It is one of my small worries in the format, but if we're looking for decks that really fit all of our criteria, right, a deck that can beat the Sundisk, a deck that can beat Yuumi Pantheon, you're not just going to have a deck that just beats everything, right? And so this is what we're kind of conceding, and that we do still have two decks that get pretty good matchups across the board in our Taliyah Ziggs and our Draven Sion. And Pirate Aggro is one of these decks to where I feel like it's okay if we can play it twice against control decks. And I've done a little bit of tuning there as well. And so then the last one to call out, the full aggro matchups are fine. The Taliyah Ziggs kind of folds against all of the burn-based strategies, the Pirates in particular. But I don't think these are matchups, that we're going to be seeing tons of. The pure aggro decks of the day have really kind of fallen out of the favor. I had to do some deep digging on Balco's site to even find the Elise metrics, and Misfortune Quinn Scouts is something that if it was good, we would be playing it. For certain, I can tell you with 100% certainty, if I felt like Scouts was good in this format, we would be bringing it to the table. And so I don't think this is something we're going to run into a ton of. I do suspect that we'll run into Pirates fairly frequently, but I think these aggro lineups, as we see them, are going to be something more along the lines of ours. If you want to call our lineup an aggro list where we're playing Pirates and we're playing Draven Sion, those are both decks that can produce decimates. But I look at Draven Sion and Taliyah Ziggs and even decks like Aphelios Fizz as being more along the lines of a mid-rangey with reach kind of deck, and not so much a pure aggro deck. And so I think the pure aggro lists, while you always have to consider it, if you're like, well, I get to play in this thing and I don't want to test for it, I'm just going to bring all the aggro decks. That's a common strategy. You'll run into this much more than you would just percentage-wise running into these decks on the ladder. And so I think it'll be fine. We can hold our own against it if we have to, but it's not certainly ideal. And so this is it. These are the decks we're playing. In terms of the differences and things, I'm not playing Gangplank. I don't think he's super necessary in our Pirates deck. I've grown more and more fond of Twisted Fate. And then the kind of differences that we're seeing out of this deck is I do want a way to handle decks that are just trying to go super tall on you, right? So this would be like Aphelios Fizz, which we plan to ban, but that's like the Papercraft Dragon deck. But the same thing applies to, say, like the Vigio decks, playing against Pantheon decks, and then even most of the control decks these days. A lot of them don't play too many units, and it's very nice to be able to just come down and like stun a Lux. And so we're running 2 copies of Arachnoid Sentry across the board in this deck. This is something you'll see between 0 and 1 copies of. I wanted to have a little bit of extra touch in here just to focus on those Go Tall decks. We're playing 1 copy of Jack the Winner. This does give us just a little bit more burn reach with him generating the Sleep with the Fishes every turn. And then something I actually grew quite fond of as we're making our meme video a day or two ago with the Sombrero Bros deck, if you will, was having access to Might. And so playing Might with the 3 copies of Zap, and then being able to load up an Arachnoid Sentry or load up Jack the Winner, or, if we have some kind of favorable block going forth, it's really nice having access to this kind of surprise 7 or 8 or 9 damage. And so glad to have the singular copy of Might here, especially playing the lists that run in Jack the Winner. Then the kind of other things going on with this, if you're looking to expect to play a lot of aggro decks, you do want to play the full 3 copies of Mirai Warden, the full 3 copies of Island Navigator, and then start slotting in Make It Rains. Right, we're kind of conceding that we don't expect to see too much aggro, or at least this kind of just pure aggro, and so those are the kind of concessions that we've made for these cuts. And so hopefully the additional Twisted Fate will count in those games as where we're not dropping Make It Rains on our opponents. Deck number 2, Taliyah Ziggs. The big changes here, the thing that we always do is play 3 copies of Ancient Preparations. I feel like that's super important as you're playing a deck that looks to kill with the Absolver. We're trying to dig up copies of the Arsenal. And then here I have started to include 1 copy of Rite of Negation. And so I really love having access to these Ancient Preparations. It kind of blows my mind when people aren't really playing these. Just the card fixing, the specific answer digging, it's all super important to me. And so I have the 3 copies of Ancient Preparations. Here, in the same vein as us wanting some kind of answer to a Go Tall deck, where we have Stun Spider in the other deck, we're playing 2 copies of Quicksand. Quicksand does solve just a ton of problems in these formats. Otherwise, the kind of cuts we've made to fit these things in, only playing 2 copies of Hexplosive Minefield, I feel like drawing multiples of these isn't that fantastic in the format. This is something that's good against like the Go Tall decks, but I don't feel like we're going to run into tons of lineups that are, say, like a Pantheon plus an Udyr plus a Vigio Shurima. And so we've cut it down to 2 Minefields. It's still strong. You still find lots of powerful plays with this, but I don't feel like we need the full 3 copies of it. We're playing 1 copy of Shaped Stone. I think the 1 mana combat trick is pretty important. You find lots of games to where you have access to just 1 mana, but you won't have access to be playing the Absolver. Playing 0 copies of Pokestick, I think it's just horrible in this format, and I have dropped to playing 2 copies of Rite of the Arcane. As the format is kind of like slowed down since the release of the 3.6 patch, we just aren't finding quite as many targets that this is like super relevant on, right? If we're going to play a deck that just has a very small number of removal spells, and we're just going to have this like real limited interactivity, we're going to want to have like high value targets for that to hit, but there's just not a ton of like misfortunes running around, right? There's not a ton of these like small units that this gets, and if we're just dropping it on another kind of mediocre unit, then I want something with a little bit more power. And so the Rite of the Arcane has dropped down to 2. Then the big deck we've been playing here recently, this is what we made our most recent video on, is the Draven Sion mid-range discard, whatever you want to call it. The kind of changes that we've made in here, I've upped to playing 2 copies of Survival Skills. I think that we're going to be running into to lots of more of the mid-rangey style matchups where this is important. And so being able to just like dome a combat that your opponent has gotten heavily invested in is pretty powerful, and I'm quite happy to have these running around. The other thing with this is we're playing the full 3 copies of Poro Cannon. I feel like if you're wanting to run multiple copies of Survival Skills, you need to be able to drop that in the middle of combat. This is our quick discard of choice, and so it is a little weak sometimes. But I think the 0 cost burst speed discard is really well worth it, and it does also help in some of these problematic matchups, like with all of the Bandle City based matchups to where they just flood the board. You have both an answer to, say, a Fizz, and you then also have a way that can attack around their ground based units. Otherwise, pretty straightforward in here. We play the 1 copy of Pharaoh's Fancier. I love the good early, good late nature of him. We've kind of given up up a little bit against the aggro decks, but we're still playing one copy of Reborn Grenadier, another card that works fantastically with the Poro Cannon, and then we do play 2 copies of Aloof Travelers. I, again, expect the format here to just be a little bit slower, and if you're able to pop your opponent's Feel the Rush or pop their Vengeance, the Aloof Travelers can pay for itself off very powerfully. You find lots of just kind of oddball turns to where you don't want to commit too much to the board, but you still want to do something, and the Aloof Travelers really fits in there well. And so that's it. Those are the 3 decks that we'll be battling with. Again, we've got Pirates with no Gangplank, Taliyah Ziggs, and discard Draven Sion. And let's see here. We got to go and check on our premium status, and then we will be good to go. All right, so got the Draven deck pulled up. I found some problems. I found some cards that had not managed to be turned premium yet. Today, we will be boosting the survival skills. And so it feels pretty good. It's the key component to our deck. I'm sure at least once today we're going to make Sion unkillable when we needed him to die. And we will try our best. And so, on to the Gauntlet. The gates should be open. Looks like it is. Let's go ahead and get this Draven time. Got to check the loadout as well. So all our skins all set. We're ready for the pool party. All right. The game knows what's up. So where is that? Taliyah Ziggs. Boom. Pirates. Got it. Off to battle we go. So, oh yeah, we just gotta jump in the last one. I guess we're just playing one match today. I haven't done this before. It turns out that they didn't have ranked stuff for Expedition, and so kind of is what it is. And this is one of the lineups that, again, it was like kind of worrisome to me. I thought that like the full aggro lineup might make an appearance, and that's what's happened here. And so I'm out of all of these, like I'm most comfortable playing against the Darius Gnar, and then with the Elise versus the Pirates, I think the Elise deck is just a little bit worse. And so I'm just going to ban out Pirates here. Like a lot of the time, I'm pretty okay with just coming out and playing mirror matches, but I think the Pirates is actually just the best deck out of all of these. And so let's go ahead and give it the ban. He does the same. He says, oh, no, he didn't. He banned out the Sion deck. And so we're going to have to... essentially, the way I kind of look at this is I want to take 2 shots with Taliyah Ziggs. Taliyah Ziggs is the one that's going to be weaker against these decks. And so I want to have 2 shots with it and then just 1 shot with our deck that's a little bit more tuned to deal with the aggro lineups. All right, well, certainly don't want the Arsenal here, but otherwise we can't complain about having a start with a 1 and a 2. Uh-oh. Says you won't get past me. I never realized this. The Legion Rearguard says you won't get past me and he can't block. Clever. Clever guy. Okay. I'm going to let one of these stand. I would prefer to be able to... Well, we have to take down the double Rearguards now, but I was going to say I would prefer to be in a spot to where we can quicksand down some of this, but we're just like... not going to be there at the moment. Maybe when the next attack comes around, we'll have time for it. All right, there's Taliyah. Ready to do some blocking. Like 100 turns from now. But she's ready. Okay, the Rite of the Arcane could be useful here. He's starting to drop some larger units on the board. Ideally, next turn, he plays a card and then we get to Minefield and we might be able to get through it that way. But I don't have high hopes for it. It's not terrible if he opens on us. And then he does... of course, have like Darius in his deck, so we might just find a little bit better place for a Minefield to come down. Nope. Taking the shutdown on this turn. So we'll take the 1 from this thing. I'll Rite of the Arcane away a Tusk Speaker. The stun will come in for the second one. And then his only attack will be with the Legion Rearguard. It's pretty good. And then we still have the Quicksand on lockdown in the event that he attacks us with Darius. Cool. The one choice, the one option to copy with Taliyah. Not a great one. Not a great one, that's for certain. Little guy can't block. All right. Just taking it straight to the dome. We're pretty close to lethals. He has to win on this next attack, or we'll just kill him with the Taliyah. This open is not good enough. So it's if he just he's like, hey, here's Darius, then we should win the game, right? We have the Quicksand ready. Lock him down here like this. Takes us to 6. That's pretty okay. If he has some kind of combat trick, we still have the Quicksand ready. Sure. So I'm gonna. The big thing here is just taking the overwhelm off of his 2 units that are already blocked. I think this is okay. So he should just be taking 6. Our Taliyah's well protected now as well. Pretty cool. All right. And the unleashed energy. Don't think we'll need it here, but just go ahead and bring in the thunder. All right, all right. We won with our bad matchup, so that's always pretty nice. I think that's probably the way to go about these, is just to try and play the bad matchup twice. The Taliyah Ziggs is definitely weaker against some of these decks. All right, on with the Pirates. You know, kind of the same deal. We have the Arachnoid Sentries to perhaps stop a Darius. We have the Twisted Fates as well. So it's not going to be my most favorite of matchups, but we have some options in here. Is he ever just trying to boom us here? I think that's a fair question. If he follows up with something else, doesn't seem to be the case, but gotta worry about that a little bit. I want to get the larger Jagged Butcher on the board. Interesting. Just no 2. Like why aren't you like this would be a hand as to where he didn't have. I don't know. That's weird. I can't imagine a Omen Hawk being better than literally any 2-drop in your deck. So it's like he had to have mulliganed into a hand with no 1 or no 2, and then he drew the Omen Hawk early. Very strange. All right, our hand not great. Tons of 4-drops here. We'd really prefer to be spending more of our mana on units, but kind of is what it is, as they say. Okay. You got it. Now, it's an interesting set here. I believe we want to just drop the Island Navigator. Picking up the Nox and Fervor is kind of interesting with Zap in hand, but I think we never Twisted Fate. I think the Twisted Fate is a little bit something we want to be a little bit more defensive with. Ooh, Yeti time. Kind of gross. Okay, I'm going to leave our Island Navigator back. This is our best blocker, right? And we're going to have to get involved into some of these combats. And then I'm going to just slam in with our units that only do on the positive attack here. So we may find ourselves with a good red card next turn. Depends on if he opens on us or not. But we have the mana to both red card and Nox and Fervor. More Steves. Thanks for proud in the comments. I now know his name is not Steve. Apparently, Twisted Fate's name is Tobias. old Tobias Fate. Okay. This leaves us in a spot to just open next turn. The open isn't spectacular. What do we think about playing the flip? I think we can get rid of the Nox and Fervor, right? We're just gonna probably draw one with a zap, right? We're 75% chance to draw Nox and Fervors with him. But I'm leaning towards we're probably still gonna open. Yeah, I don't think that changes in it. Still have to worry a little bit about the likes of like playing a Gnar here would kind of suck. I don't know, maybe not. We're at such a healthy life total. So can we play everything? We want to play Zap? Yeah, we can play everything. I want to cycle away the Saboteur and then drop the Imperial Demolitionist. Getting really close to lethal now as well. Alright, cycle him, Steve. Are you just gonna flip? Twisted Fate's gonna be up to 6 draws next turn. Alright, double Nox and Fervor. That should do it. We'll wait. Maybe he'll spend a bunch of mana. These decks don't usually play... like... They don't play ways that could kill us here, right? They're not going to have ways to interact with our Nox and Fervors. Could realistically just go ahead and drop Misfortune, but this is going to be a... Okay, we win. Easy peasy. I guess we should technically hit our higher health units just in the event that he plays Blade's Edge. But this should do it. I think that'll get us there. Nice. We just win. We get our little token, right? I guess we get our little token. Prime Glory, we did it. Now what's this? It's time for the main event. Gear up with your 3 favorite standard decks. What's this? Is this the same thing? Or did we get it? Tournament. Oh, we're qualified. Okay. All right. Well, I still want to do another one. I feel like 2 games wasn't really enough. But so let's jump in, see if we can't ruin some people's days as we get to the final battle on there. But yeah, I don't feel like 2 games was enough for a video. So let's just get another Gauntlet in and go from there. So all right. So back to a set of real decks again, and so. Again, as we talked about the matchups here, I'm going to leave the Yuumi Pantheon. Weird seeing Fiora in that set, but I think that one's okay to stay. And then the tokens matchups aren't incredibly terrible, I don't think. If I pull up the spreadsheet real quick, it's horrible for Taliyah Ziggs, but really good for the other ones. And then I think on the kind of flip side of the coin is that the Sentinels match is pretty horrible for Pirates, and so I guess it's kind of like a flip of the coin as to which of those that he would bring. I guess it wouldn't be surprised to see him. Here's what I think we probably need to do is just ban tokens, because this way we aren't stuck with both Taliyah Ziggs we want to ban Sentinels. Yeah, we got to ban tokens, right? If we leave both tokens and Pantheon in, they're both pretty bad matchups for Taliyah Ziggs. And so I at least want to be able to try and take Taliyah Ziggs into Sentinels. And that worked out reasonably for us as well. I would think the matchup you want for Sentinels is the Pirates, and he went ahead and banned that out. Kind of odd strategy to me. But nonetheless, the same idea as in the previous one. I think we want to take Taliyah Ziggs to battle twice, and then we can fall back with the Draven Sion against pretty much anything. Right. Nice little curve. We'll dig for some more dudes. Let's see if he's got that vile feast. That's how this gets abysmal. Is if we play the Rockhopper and he has the vile feast to just completely shut down our early game.
If it's made of sand, I can ride it.
That's what this one comes down to. Must be nice. Okay. Okay. Well, there goes our aggression. Not a bad shutdown. He drops a fancier. I'm pretty tempted to just go ahead and drop the Unraveled Earth. I'd like to cycle here. Not taking the 2 damage isn't a big deal, but we would like to be like finding a Ziggs or finding just a bigger unit. The thing that makes 5/4s, whatever. Adding the Rockhopper here is not prime importance.
Let's get moving. Would you look at this place?
Taliyah's ready to flip, though. She saw all the units come down.
I help when I can. Shut up when I can.
Okay, we'll go ahead and make this trade. We can copy the ancient preparations with Taliyah next turn. It's not super ideal, but this hand's not doing anything else. We got to get her on board and start hoping for the best. Okay, I can live with Rite of Negation. We can wait a turn before we play Taliyah, I think, and then protect her with the Rite. Now, where this is kind of abysmal is we have to overbank a ton of mana here. And so if he spends a bunch, like I say, if he spends 6 mana on a assembly line, then I'm okay with just dropping Taliyah now. But if we were going to have to wait into the next turn, that was going to be pretty painful. Let's get these rocks into motion. Okay, I'm not really sure what this deck's removal suite looks like. I don't think they're going to be playing Get Excited, so this block should be kind of okay. We have the Absolver for protection if we need to. I just don't really want to be Absolvering here. I'd prefer to be going for the full combo with the Rite once it's a little bit safer. Coming in for 4. It's tempting to just go ahead and drop the Shapestone on Clocklink. We can kind of achieve the same damage on our next attack, but I think we'd rather just have this blocker still around. I guess Shock Blast would be the big card to worry about here. It's like, maybe we should have saved the Shapestone for a Shock Blast. That's tough. But it feels like so much better if he's just gonna play Jace. True Shot Barrage, no. No. Don't destroy the mana gem. We don't have the arsenal just yet, and we should have time to get to 8 mana gems in the event that we do draw him, and so it's okay to blow up the mana, I think. Something cool. Inventive Chemist, well. You are cool, my dude. I'll give you that. You just weren't as cool as I was hoping for. Okay, gotta stun this Jace. He's gonna have Challenger. Oh, he went quick attack. Interesting. Still gonna stun him. That's wild. Why would he? I'm just like super surprised he didn't try to Jace into Taliyah. What is your angle, dude? Okay. This is like, I guess he's just saying I have a Mystic Shot in my hand? Is that what that's supposed to amount to? I can't remember how this works. Like if we try to overwrite the landmark. You don't get to see the Oracle's Eye with this either. For some reason, I feel like you don't get the unit if you do this. We need the unit so bad. All right. Apparently, all right. I don't know what's happened before to where that didn't work, but apparently that one worked out okay.
Hey, show me that again.
There's the Shock Blast. It's going to hit them both for 6. We just can't protect through it. That's going to be the Jace version. This is why I was considering opening. 'Cause that's a real pain in the butt. All right.
Here we go.
We were going to be short of the lethal, but I don't know if having the Rock Bear is actually better here.
Don't you look a sight?
Here come the mountain of Mystic Shots. We knew that those were available, but man. All right, let's punch in for a little bit. This one's pretty bad though. This is when the game turns into do you have the arsenal or not? And so, I mean, we've blown up like 8 or 9 landmarks, so he'll be pretty top notch. And speaking of the devil, what up, my dude? 8 landmarks. That's not bad. Did he hit Spell Shield? Fuck. He didn't. Fearsome, Faded, Overwhelm, Fury, Augment, Scout, Tough, Quick Attack, Vengeance. Here comes Vengeance. Oh, just a Shock Blast? He survives a Shock Blast. Alright, Arsenal, do your thing. Do your thing, my dude. He's gonna block with Jason. We got a Quicksand for it. Alright. Get some damages in. Do your thing, my dude. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Gaining a point off of a Fury? Oh shit. Jace part 2, alright. Something cool.
Interesting use of tech.
Alright. Maybe we should have attacked. Now he gets to gain 10 off of this. At least he only gains 5. Okay. Oh. All right, so yeah, I don't know about this one. The ways that we've gone about it, I'm a little skeptical. I mean, just a lot of the stuff that we've done would have ultimately been super dangerous if we'd just been in the space to go for it. Like if we in the with the Taliyah attack would have been a real pain. Ooh. All right, the arsenal though. We're ready. We're ready. Alright, he's got the spell shield this time. Impact, spell shield, augment, regenerate, elusive, faded, lifesteal, overwhelm, tough. Okay. Okay. My dude, my dude.
Replicating the power
Uh-oh.
spike.
God, this guy doesn't like to have fun, does he? Okay. Getting so hyped. We're getting so many sweet options here, and people are just being fucking lame.
Watch me.
Alright. I assume he'll just take this. It's pretty suspect when you're just slamming Rockhopper into Jace.
Now's not a good time.
Alright. Well, we're out of the arsenals. That's kind of unfortunate. Still have the Ziggs, though. Alright, that's the second Jace we've dealt with. Guess he's going to be drawing the third one. Okay. GG. And so, I don't know. So, some of those turns were I guess the only turn in there that was really suspect was the one where we attacked with the Taliyah, or we didn't open. We made the play to put the Rock Bear on the board into the Shock Blast, and the Shock Blast being a card you're commonly going to see out of the flipped Jace, and so that was kind of meh. And I'm not super happy with that second Arsenal turn either. Like when we picked up the Ziggs, like ideally with the Arsenal, like we're gonna play it on our opponent's turn, and then on our turn we're just gonna open attack with it. And so I think there maybe we got a little too overzealous with the Arsenal, especially when he has Jace on board and gets to double up his spells. And we should have looked to we should have looked to just play Ziggs, see if Ziggs gets to eat a Vengeance, and then play the Arsenal on our opponent's turn. Maybe we get an open attack. I think I would have liked that a little bit more. But not a bad start against Pantheon Yuumi. I guess Pantheon Yuumi Fiora, if you will. Totes McGoats. We want any of this stuff? The Shape Stone should be pretty good here. We're going to be curving out pretty nicely. And then it'll give us a little protection for Ziggs on our next attack. Okay. This is going to sequence pretty well as to where we have to play the Minefield on the next turn if we want to copy it with Taliyah. But that's like, he's finally getting to build up the stuff, and he's going to want to, go tall on the White Flame. And we're kind of taking that away from him with the 2 turns of the Minefield. Yep. And also just flip the Taliyah. How do we want to go about that? I don't want to miss out on too much. We're just super easily playing the Minefield. Get this dum-dum out of here. Just we can't flip Taliyah this way. Right? Next it's like, well, we can, but if we want to play her next turn, we can't copy the Minefield. Which is slightly awkward. Do we ever just like wait a turn on that? I don't think so. That's pretty sketchy. We should just be trying to kill on the next attack. Let's get it in now while we can. This is a pretty good turn for him to drop Pantheons on us, though. But like we aced Pantheon reasonably hard. He's not a great block on Taliyah. Ziggs deals with the barrier. I think it's okay.
She called me betrayer. She scorned me.
Okay.
My path
coming in for 8. It's pretty good. He could have a single combat here, which would be kind of meh. But he seems strong. Oh, we're going to get this off the board. Oh, I'll gladly shape stone here. Nope, goes back to Ziggs. Sure. Could have looked to play the Unraveled Earth. Like, it's going to draw us a card and then immediately flip the Taliyah. It's like if he opens with a unit, it would have been nice to have the Unraveled Earth on it. Didn't quite play out like that. Interesting with Fiora. So strange. I mean, I guess they are playing a ton of just like go tall cards, but I haven't seen Fiora forever. All right, well, she's dealt with. I think we just take the 9 from the White Flame. Give us just a little bit of extra space, or a little bit of extra unit next turn. We can block with the thing, but we don't have any ways to blow up the landmark. What if we just Unraveled Earth now? Oh, oops. I saw the chemist go forward and thought we were going to get a unit down. That's a kind of a problem. We didn't flip our Taliyah this way. Got a little confused with the dude on the board. This is fine. You can't play any of these moon weapons. They're all slow. All right, but now, now that our Taliyah isn't flipped, we are giving him the opportunity to play whatever his slow card was. All right, I think we punted this one pretty handily. Put the Rite of the Arcane on top. It gives us a way to sacrifice off of these landmarks so we can blow up the dragon. I think like he's gonna have the stun, right? But now we do still have the opportunities to stop this thing next turn. He doesn't have Overwhelm on it just yet. Now it's scary. We aren't quite dead to it. So we might be okay. If he like opens, we have the chance to block with Taliyah. And then if he doesn't open, we should be able to stun. Much is this? +1? That's for exacties. Alright. Alright, Shapestone, do your thing. I don't think this is going to be successful, but we got to give it a try. Yeah. F. Okay. We definitely could have played these matches better. That's why it's nice to get a good warm up in. I think we'll reasonably be able to recover here, but it's like the real downside to these is if you're losing a match in a tournament is fairly devastating if you need to go 7-2 or whatever to make the cut in Constructed. And you can't play poorly like that. You don't get to recover like you do in these gauntlets when if you get a win, then your loss doesn't matter. But with these, kind of the same deal. We're going to let the Yuumi Pantheon stay around. I'm happy enough with the Taliyah Ziggs matchup into Vigio, and so I think we can just ban pirates here. And I think that these people, for the most part, would just be banning pirates on us, right? Pirates against Yuumi against Pantheon is pretty good, and so I think we're pretty happy to be taking Taliyah Ziggs and Draven into the Viego deck. Yep, that's about how that works out, right? Taliyah Ziggs is slightly unfavored, and then the Draven Sion's pretty heavily favored. And kind of the same deal against Yuumi Pantheon, Taliyah Ziggs. A little under, but Draven Sion's a little worse. So, same deal. We'll take the Taliyah Ziggs in. We have to win twice. Or if we get 2 opportunities with the deck, we want it to be with this one. Alright, there we go. Let's see. The Ancient Prep and Rockhopper are fine. Get on board early. Reasonable enough start. All right, what you got for us? I'm like reasonably interested in like both Quicksand and the Arsenal. Like I know it's not great drawing the Arsenal this early, but they have no answers to it. I don't think they can really handle it, and I don't think we need Quicksands here early. So I'm just going to go ahead and put him on top. It's not great, but it'll get us here and give us something to build towards.
Sun's beneath me and winds behind me.
Okay. Now we're getting the best of dudes on board. What up, Taliyah? Is he bringing it? It doesn't seem like a great attack for him, but I'd say at least the encroaching mist will come in. It's kind of an interesting space for Taliyah. If we want to have something that we can copy, we need to drop both the Ziggs and the Ancient Preparations this next turn. I think it's okay. Like, if we play Ziggs, does he just drop the Waking Sands? That's not horrible. I mean, if it comes down to it, we can just hook it out of the way, because it's going to be catching a vulnerable.
Observe the price of ambition.
Interesting.
I go.
Okay. Well, like, I know in this deck we play Vile Feast. There's a lot of these decks that just don't. None of them, like, a lot of them just won't play it. And so I think this attack is all good. Interesting he doesn't put damage on our Ziggs. Like, why are you putting the vulnerable? Is that just because he... I guess he does plan to hook him with Vigio next turn. That's fine. It's a nice Endless Devout, but I'm just going to keep on the plan. I'm just going to go full Arsenal this game. I'm pretty sure both of these are going to be quite relevant. Right? If he drops Vigio here, he gets popped with the Roiling Sand. Then we get to switch into using Taliyahs. Oh, sure. One really big boom. She can wait a turn. Let's get the additional blockers down. Get that free. That big 2 damage boom to the face as well. It's always important. Okay. He's going to hook in Ziggs. The rest of its attacks aren't great. Vigio will grow when the charger dies, right? Okay. Not quite worried about Atrocity. It's certainly relevant, but we're healthy enough at this point to let it slide a little bit. We'll draw the big combat trick in the Absolver.
Onward, everybody! The horizon falls.
All right, Taliyah, do your thing.
Eyes on the horizon and feet on the ground.
That's unfortunate. A little unfortunate. It's not horrible, but Oh man, I thought we had Absolver mana. That's sloppy. But that's still a fairly dangerous block. We might be able to deal with him next turn. Just blocking up with the Absolver. Bust is playing a little sloppy today. We gotta we gotta do better than this when the seasonals roll around. So not great. I mean, we get to take Viego down, which is nice, but the Hydrovine's problematic.
I see you.
So we are in atrocity range now, but he loses his big dude. We can start dropping the arsenals. I think this one's probably slipped away, but we at least got a shot with our big boys here. Not sure what he would be thinking on. This is just like a glimpse beyond, maybe. Hourglass? Sure.
buys me a new sail.
All right, the Arsenal, it's your time to shine. You get to do the big booms. Spell Shield, Elusive, Scout, Lifesteal, something like that.
Explosives, big and small. I got 'em all.
What we got? Fury, Quick Attack, Augment, Tough, Challenger, Overwhelm, Fearsome Scout. Pretty good collection. Doesn't protect us from a atrocity, but it's pretty strong on this board. I think one must admit. We should actually just go for the Viego first. He's going to be too big for other units to hook, but if he drew another copy of him, I don't want to get the Arsenal despaired. So this way we can at least try and take him down. We can go after the Hydrovine after. Feels like we're about to just eat an atrocity, but we have the tools to get through this. It's pretty wild that Magic has the same card. It's called Fling. It just costs 2 mana, and it's never playable. It's like fringe playable in some formats, but then it's basically limited to combo decks. And it's just like Atrocity has been such a monster throughout the history of Runeterra. It's pretty wild. Oh, and he just gives up on it. Ooh, fam. All right, good job, Taliyah. Okay. Well, a little surprised to see that. Getting Viego down the next turn. All right, the arrival of Pool Party Draven. He's ready to go. So the Aloof Travelers can be pretty useful here, but it's not something we really want in our opening hand. And then the Pharaoh's Fancier is just our backup 2-drop. We already have another 2-drop, and so I'm fine to cycle him away and look for something a little bit more powerful in the early game. That's what the curves look like. Get him. All right, got a little bit of everything here. The Rider ready to go. The Sentry, we shouldn't need it in the immediate future, but again, this is a pretty good answer to stopping Viego for a turn and letting us get a big swing in, or stopping them from hitting us for 1,000,000 damage. All in all, pretty powerful. He does not line up well with this draw that we're putting forth. Sure. Let's bring it. Let's just get all the damage in. If he wants to start taking like the little value blocks, I'm pretty okay with it. Gets him to 15. Getting close to that Sion boom. Nice collection of units for the next turn. To discard the Fallen Rider. May end up with a Poro on the board this turn, but we'll definitely have the Urchin and the Rider down. Oh, that was a misclick. I meant to discard the Fallen Rider, but I clicked on the Spinning Axe. Don't do that. Don't do that at home. we can still recover a little bit. It's not that big of a deal. We can just discard the Fallen Rider to the Poro Cannon, but yeah, watch where you click every once in a while. I mean, I did all that intentionally. Is bringing forth the baits from our opponent. 100% intentional. I planned it that way the whole time. Whoa, that's expensive. Sure. It's like, I wonder if we can get away with playing units next turn. Like, it sucks if he, like, plays the Waking Sands. We do have answers to it. We aren't deploying, like, a ton of damage, but, I mean, I think this is okay. What we got here? I'm leaning towards the Weapons of the Lost. He usually doesn't have units that we can stop with a, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of strength in numbers. We can't kill a ton of stuff with the Weapons of the Lost. And these can both be like very relevant attackers. So now it's like, does he get to play Viego or does he just drop the Waking Sands? Neither of which seems pretty interesting. And then if he does stuff like this, where he's just going to let us attack and then play Viego after the fact, we'll have the mana banked to play Strength in Numbers next turn. Like this is pretty choice.
We got it first.
Withering Wail. Plays that. Okay. Wow. That's not what I expected, but I feel it feels even better with the Strength in Numbers plan now. It's like Diego's so slow here. Here they come. Legion incoming. Sure. Well, that wasn't very fun. That wasn't very fun, dude. How do we want to do this? Like, our Sion isn't close enough to being flipped. Like, we can play next turn, but he's still going to be short. I'm usually against just, like, dropping the champion, but he should be safe with the Strength in Numbers in our hand. I think we just need to protect this Risen Rider. It's not awesome, but it's a pretty healthy amount of damage that we can get in next turn. Oh, that just feels so bad. All right. Like we gotta find something quick though. We need this Sion down on our opponent's next turn. Power of stuff. That's a start.
We made it. Yay. But our stuff didn't.
Ooh, we got a vengeance out of it. Nice. I don't think we need to... Do we need to stun this turn? Like, we can still just, like, definitely attack with the same units if we play Draven. Right? He only has 1 mana. He's not playing any more cards this turn. He's either just going to have to risk Viego in front of the Risen Rider, or take a ton of damage. Okay. Now Sion will be ready to flip next turn. Okay, feels good. I think we're in a pretty good spot this game. Such scary. Many scaries.
Observe the price of ambition.
Okay. So we can't attack with Viego. We can hook in Draven and kill him. That's fine. I guess he... Gotta stop and think. Can we spinning axe our opponent's unit? No. That's too bad. Alright, so we're just like most certainly going to open next turn. And this also leaves us in a spot to where we can Mystic Shot our Sion next turn. So let's just go ahead and get another dude on the board. We'll open and see where that gets us. Sure. That's where it gets him. Right into the land of concessions. GG. Okay. I like how that went. The strategy seemed okay. Got it. Okay, man, so many more games. So this is what I've decided for this video. This is going to be the last match. We already got that one match in at the beginning. And then for the next one, we'll finish this Gauntlet trial. I think that's okay. Then interesting set here. Like it's like I get more and more worried about this like tokens into Taliyah match. It's like the Noxus matchups aren't that great, or I'm sorry, the Ezreal matchups aren't that great, but they're certainly winnable. Like the Sion deck does okay with it. This is the one you're gonna see if we can get it easy to highlight here. It's to where like the Taliyah Ziggs is really good and the other ones are kind of marginal. I think we have to let the Caitlyn deck stay. And then I think I still just, man, it's so weird against like Azir Irelia as to where it just like completely domes Taliyah Ziggs, but then it just gets murdered by our other decks. I think we're still just gonna like, I think I'm okay with this. Like if, like if we ban the Sentinels, right? And then he brings in these two. He leaves up Taliyah Ziggs and just bans Pirates, and then we get to try and take Taliyah Ziggs into... I think this is okay. Alright, we'll take out the Sentinels. They ban Pirates. I think we're going to see this Pirates ban, like, essentially every single time. And so we have to win with Taliyah Ziggs twice. Again, the matchup against Ezreal Caitlyn is pretty good. The matchup against tokens is pretty abysmal. And so... I think I'm still okay with this kind of ideal. Like seeing how these are all sequencing out with everyone just banning Pirates. I might have to kind of rework some of these lineups a little bit, but... All right. That's not a good start. You need a little bit more something than that. Looking for some of those cheap plays. This will have to do. Welcome the Arsenal. Hey, it's a dude.
Stands beneath me and wins behind me. Move.
Okay, I'm pretty flexible in just throwing away these units. Like the most disastrous thing for us is losing units to the flashbangs, and so if we can just go ahead and get these cheap dudes off the board as quick as we can, then that's all completely fine. Ziggs is still looking pretty decent here. Uh-oh. I don't mind the stun, but if he has a Ravenous Flock, this is pretty bad. Okay, that's manageable. Then do we ever want to Bouncing Bomb? Like that's the new thing to look at here. I'm curious what unit he looks to deploy. Because if we get to say play Bouncing Bomb and then Preservarium, we can follow up with Taliyah. It's going to take like quite a bit of time for her to flip. Okay, well that makes it a little easier. We'll just be dropping Ziggs, but
Trust me, I know what I'm doing.
that was kind of tough. And another Taliyah. And another Ziggs. Okay, well let's start to bouncing bomb some stuff. I think we can get these dudes off the board. He's probably not going to play any units into our Roiling Sands. But we're not in a space to just pass. And so I'll still try and take the Ziggs bomb into the Sentry and see where we can go from here. This just gives us a little bit more time to get this Taliyah boosted. Okay, Caitlyn's manageable. You get a nice set of value plays here now in the Preservarium into Taliyah. I like it. Oh, hang on, I counted my mana wrong. I'm so horrible about that. I did 6 + 1, that's 7, right? Easy peasy.
Here's my calling card.
So what do I want to do this turn? It's like, I'm not ultra scared of Caitlyn, but I would like to go ahead and just get her off of the board. I think this is fair. Like, so we're going to just blow up the Caitlyn, and then, like, if he follows up with Ezreal, who cares? Yeah, it just feels like he's definitely going to have a removal spell for Ziggs, which is fine. And then we can just start switching into this Taliyah-based plan. So we can play the Preservarium here, bank up a couple mana, and then we can open copy it next turn, or we can open with Taliyah next turn and copy it. And then she should be pretty tough for them to deal with, right? You need a couple of spells to take her down. You got to put the damage on her in Scorched Earth, or put the damage on her and hit with Ravenous Flock. Pretty tough for them to deal with, and I'm not counting on too much from the first one, but the second one should be pretty strong. This all looks pretty good.
We made it.
Oh, the Arsenal.
But our stuff did it.
Sad day. Alright, well, Taliyah is still protected. This is fine. We do have the Absolver. Like, we have a Absolver play for, like, the next attack, but we're pretty far away from getting a lethal with it. Got to draw an ass load of cards, so that's the proper terminology for the amount we're about to draw. Ass load. This is fine. Again, I suspect he's just going to kill Taliyah next turn, but we have another one ready in hand, and so if he has to spend a Ravenous Flock or something to take her down, it just buys us more and more time. Oh my god, we got lucky with the flash bombs? That never happens. That never happens. Ooh, and we got a Scorched Earth out of it? Nice. Alright, this all looks good. It's just dropping Scorched Earths on our landmarks? Oh my dude, that doesn't feel ideal. I can't imagine that that's ever the way to go about it. Alright.
Now where did I leave that beaker?
Let's bring the thunder. I'm just gonna drop Ziggs. It's like we do have the Rock Bear dude in hand, but it's like he has to put something on the board here. If he doesn't have a unit on the board, then he's just gonna fall so far behind, and that lets us just drop Rite of the Arcanes onto these cards. Well, it's not as good as I was planning. I was planning on there being a unit we could kill with the Rite of the Arcane. Didn't quite get there.
History is whatever.
Alright, well, let's just go in for the lethal then. This dude doesn't want to have fun. Fuck. Oh. Interesting. He stuns the rock bear. Interesting. Why? We can bring everybody. I'm not going to play the Absolver here, but the thing with this is he either puts the Wild Claw in front of Taliyah and just loses it, or he has to put 2 damage onto the Wild Claw, which we can then take down with the Rite of the Arcane. It's a little strange to see it play out like this, but it works out okay. And then I was also thinking, should we just, like with the previous one, should we have destroyed the 2 countdown landmark or the 1? And I think now we should have destroyed the 1. I'd feel a lot better if we just had another landmark sitting around for the next turn, just to target with whatever. But it seems like it's turning out okay either way.
Nothing's more exciting than an unsolved mystery.
You dropped something.
It's the quicksand. Oh, unleashed energy went out. Okay. 7 damage tri-beam. Fuck. It's so dangerous. We can protect her with the Absolver, but she dies to literally everything. Hydravine. Okay. Oh, this is scary. Fuck. Okay. I mean, I don't think we would have been doing too much with the Absolver. I mean, we do have the big rock bear on board, which would come in for like 9 damage, but he can prevent 3 of it. Just not enough. But it's just like if his like removal suite is like another tri-beam or just something along the more expensive cards, we have reasonable ways to take that stuff down. Alright. Give us something good, deck. We need it now. We need it. This game, it seemed like it was so in the bag. And then there's just those gigantic tri-beams. Okay. Well, this is a start. Oh. Little slower, I guess. This presents a lethal now. We might end up 1 short. If his other card in hand is a unit, then we're going to be 1 damage short, but this is lethal. So you might have to spend removal spells on our Inventive Chemist, but whew, not how I expected that one to go. What a weird-ass game. GG, invasive boar. Alright. On to the Draven Sion. It's a pretty decent start. It's tough against this deck. Like a lot of the cards here just don't play well. But let's see what we can do. Is this matchup listed as terrible? I can't remember. Where's it at? Azir Irelia? Oh man, like both of these, it lists this as like a 70% win rate. It seems tough to imagine. It feels like we're really gonna struggle here. But I'll take the math's word for it. You should never have an answer to the Risen Rider. Like, I guess if he's just going to play like a Diaz here, and we just get to slam in millions of damage, then that's one of the ways this looks pretty good. I don't know, I just like envisioning like having to block all these 1-attack units, and all of our units are like 2/1s and 4/2s, and not being able to ever block anything. All right. Apparently it's working out.
That's my resting face.
Not a particularly scary Greenglade duo. Take this trade. I think the question is, like, are we going to open? And if we're going to open, then we just go ahead and take it. But I don't think we need to here. Let's just go ahead and take this guy down. I want to be getting the Revenant on board next turn. It should be pretty tough for him to block our Fearsomes, unless he wants to block with Greenglade Duo, which I think is okay. Like, we do have a Get Excited in hand in case the Duo gets a little scary, but this gets around, like, so many plays. Defiant Dance is shitty, but sure. At least he doesn't get to add to the board here. Is that Duo coming in? Okay. I mean, that seems positive. Sucks our unit got bounced, but we didn't have anything else. Like, the only other thing we could do this turn would be play Draven.
Everything's better with company.
Says you.
Let's just go ahead and do this. Like, I don't want to get in some kind of weird spot to where we need to play Get Excited and don't have the mana to do it. And so we could look to just, like, throw down Draven. But this does a couple of things, right? If he has something like Twin Disciplines, then we have the chance to just go ahead and take the unit down. And then if his turn is centered on like getting an attack in, it gives us the opportunities to perhaps even completely shut down his attack. Like we can just Get Excited the Ribbon Dancer here. I'm not going to do it because we can just like block it and then block the small unit with Draven. But there is a legitimate chance on this turn that we could have just completely shut down all of his attacks. That's a lot of damage. I wasn't expecting another 1-drop to come in.
Me now.
Take 4. Okay. Getting a little unhealthy. Sure. But he's down to 1 card in hand. All right, let's see. Let's see what this Aloof Travelers can do. Like, I'm curious what it would be if like we can spike an Irelia. That would be huge. But, I mean, getting him to discard his most expensive card seems pretty nice. And we need something else to do anyways, so maybe we'll hit a cheap play after this. Twin Discipline. So all of his cards have to cost either 1 or 2. It's insane. Alright. Maybe we're catching up. It doesn't help that our hand, like, literally costs 1 million mana, but... Maybe it will turn the corner after this one. After this turn. I'm going to try and kill his sparring student. He did just lose out on Twin Disciplines. And so, again, we can run into this space to where if he just doesn't have another unit, we might be able to end the game here. This is fairly disastrous with Lead and Follow. That was like the actual best card he could have in this situation because now he gets to attack twice. But it is what it is. Feels like things are still going pretty okay for a game where we drew Captain Farron, 3 Lost Souls, and Sion. So, I mean, I guess I can't kind of see where people are coming from to where this matchup isn't terrible, but, man.
Go away.
That's a pretty choice play right there, though, with the Arachnoid Sentry. We can draw good cards on occasion as well. Alright, where are you at, Sion? You're going to be flipped? How bad is it if Sion fails? I'm leaning more towards just playing both Twin Blade Revenants, and then we can discard Sion wherever he needs to go to pass out and overwhelm. It's a little unfortunate that he has the blockers here, but he's got to put forth all of his units.
Spears ready.
Okay, so if we want this to work, we're going to grant our strongest ally. We want the Sentry to have the additional damage, right? So we can discard the Lost Soul, boost the Sentry. Oh. I guess, did we do this right? the discard happen. Well, the discard's going to happen before the spinning axe hits, right? I think we did this wrong. Yeah. Oops. So we should have lethaled here. The appropriate way would have been to put the spinning axe onto the sump dredger, and then that would have given it 5 attack, and then the discard would have happened. Probably still win the game, but stuff like this starts to happen. Okay. And he gets to attack, and we still have enough blockers. All right, that's sloppy. I'm just giving you all some learning moments, so you can so you can do better on your events and your trials. Okay, there we go. We're gonna take him down. GG. Okay, so yeah, it's an awkward place to kind of cut it short, but I don't have time for tons of matches here today. I thought this was going to be a thing to where we had to play a full gauntlet to get through the last chance gauntlet, and I didn't realize that we were just gonna be done after 2 games, and so it feels kind of awkward in that I only got 1 match in and then to quit the video, but now with this one I don't fully have the time to continue on for 3 to 5 more matches, and so I do want to continue this and finish it. I'll get this finished off for the next video so you all can see how this finishes up. And I think that we're still in a pretty good space here. This will give me some more time to think on the lineup and the matchups and how that these have kind of flown. Like this is like ultimately, I hope that the direction or something that we get to see in terms of competitive play is in like the kind of league format. Whether or not that's something within the community or something that Riot puts forth, it just like for me personally, I like I'd mentioned, like I saw that Mastering Runeterra tournament was today. I just can't go straight through and play in tournaments for 7 and 8 hour blocks of time, and it's like I was thinking about it earlier, and it's kind of awkward in the terms of what is the way to go about these things. If you say want a worldwide audience, then you can't just say have a tournament at 9 a.m. Eastern time on a Saturday, because that doesn't really fit in the majority of the world. But on the flip side, there's kind of a requirement to have enough density of players for a tournament thing to work. And so if the other side of the problem is, like, say we're thinking of a game like Teamfight Tactics, to where you have to have 8 players in the game. If you don't have enough players to fill out the queues, then the kind of league system doesn't work. And so it's like that the league is the kind of system that would work for me. So I could say, here is your 5 competitive matches for the week. I could play 2 on one day, 2 on one day, and then 1 on the last day, and fit it all in. But if you don't have enough players actively participating, then it doesn't work, since you just can't find matches. Or if you're limited to 5 matches a week, and most people play all their matches on the first day, if you're towards the end of the week, you may not be able to find a match that way either. And so there's definitely pros and cons to both systems, but man, I just love it so much that I'm able to, even what we're doing here today, just jumping into a gauntlet. We've got in 3 matches. My time is up, and I can finish those other matches later. And then when a big tournament rolls around like seasonals, I can make arrangements and dedicate the entire day can be dedicated to seasonals, and I can play in it. But it's not something that I could do every weekend, and so. It's interesting. I'm curious what Riot will do with it. I mean, they already have like Gauntlet in the game. They already have the tournament button. It's like tournaments apparently are important to them. But I'm curious if Riot will ever just kind of like open these things up. Like this is what was weird to me, because it's like the way that they've gone about it in terms of the game economy is so strange for having like competitive events. And where I'm kind of going with that is, if you look at something like Magic, part of the grinder's dream is going infinite and being able to just play tournaments and get to play for free because you're so good at it. And it's such just like a rarity for people to be able to do that in Magic. We couldn't. Like I was trying to play limited and was in the limited mythic queues and just couldn't maintain enough win rate to stay free to play. But this game is so free to play friendly. Like, is there really like that much desire? Do you really get that competitive spirit behind the events when the end game economy just doesn't matter? So I'm curious. There's a lot of smart folks at Riot. I'm sure they'll pick out something neat and interesting. And then if they say, "Hey, community, do it," the people at Mastering Runeterra are really experimenting and seeing what works best and trying to get things done. And so I'm sure something cool will come all about it. But nonetheless, that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope you all enjoyed our few victories. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way. You enjoyed seeing your qualified button and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.